My beloved child, what if the person you trusted the most was never truly on your side? What if the one who held your hand in your weakest hour had already whispered your name into the ears of betrayal? What if their silence wasn't loyalty, but calculation? This is not a warning you stumbled upon by mistake. This is not a message for someone else. This is heaven interrupting your day because the time has come. Archangel Michael says, there is a reason your spirit has been restless. There is a reason your sleep has been shallow. There is a reason your peace has been uneasy, because a secret is moving. Your secret? The one you buried with trust. The one you never thought would surface. Again, someone has touched it, and not with love. They held it long enough to study it to turn it to way I didn't now. They are about to use it. Listen, my child. Heaven is leaning in close. You are not imagining the shifts around you. You are not being dramatic when your intuition warns you. You are not broken for sensing betrayal and laughter. You are chosen. That is why the shaking has begun, Michael says. Enemy always shows its face when destiny draws near. That is why the whispers have grown louder. That is why the smile that once warmed you now feels cold. That is why your soul, though silent, is screaming. Let the silence speak, because somewhere behind closed doors, behind half smiles and softened words, someone is speaking your name, not to uplift you, but to disassemble you quietly. They know your past. They know your missteps. They know what others don single quotes T. And while they once said, you can trust me, they now carry that knowledge like a sword wrapped in velvet. But heaven does not allow weapons formed against the chosen to prosper. And that's why you're hearing this now. Type, I am listening, if your heart is still with me. Because this isn't just a message. It's a rescue. You feel it, don't you? The cold in the room when their name is mentioned, the weight on your chest when you're near them, the way your soul clenches when they hug you just a bit too tightly, like a hunter hugging prey. Beloved, God has been watching. Michael says, I have stood silently beside you as you defended the very one who intended to break you. I have watched you call them family, call them friend, call them soul, but they called you opportunity. Heaven is not silent today. The scrolls have been opened. The veil has been lifted, and what has been hidden in the shadows is being pulled into light. This is your moment to hear what your heart has been whispering all along. There is someone in your circle. Simeon, with a mask of concert woe, has taken your vulnerability and turned it into leverage. They didn't mean to protect you. They meant to preserve your downfall until the time was right. Michael says, the time is now, but not for your destruction, for theirs. So listen closely, my child. This will not be a gentle message. This will not be wrapped in ease or soft comfort. This will be revelation, because heaven would rather shake you now than watch you drown later. If you are ready to receive truth, type, I am ready below, because what comes next will change everything. Now pause, breathe, because this is where it begins. They started small. A whispered detail, a suggestive glance, a slip in front of the wrong person. They didn't say your name at first, but they crafted the image. Something about them seems off. They said, I'm just concerned, they added. Have you noticed how different they've been lately? And like a web, the words grew, and the flies came, curious minds, eager ears. But not one of them asked you. Not one came to the source. Not one wondered if you were surviving or silently breaking. Michael says you have been betrayed behind closed doors, and yet heaven has remained open over you. This is your covering. This is your confirmation. Do not confuse kindness with blindness. Do not mistake discernment for paranoia. What you've been sensing is not anxiety, it's revelation. And the veil is lifting. Now, child, listen. You are never meant to walk blind through this. The chills, the dreams, The delayed phone calls, the awkward silences, the backhanded compliments, all of them were signs. All of them were angelic alarms, alerting you, protecting you, preparing you. But you kept giving grace. You kept offering mercy. You kept saying, maybe it's just me. But heaven says, no, beloved, it was never just you. It was always me speaking. Now it is time to listen not to the words of people, but to the whisper of your own discernment. Michael declares, you were born for a purpose far too great to be halted by human sabotage. And I will not allow your story to be edited by liars. This is why you are here. This is why you are watching. This is why your soul trembles with both fear and confirmation. Because you know deep within. You know now comment, I trust heaven. If you feel the truth rising, let the first trumpet sound. The mask will fall soon. Heaven will allow one slip, one message, one name, one conversation. And in that moment, what you have doubted will become undeniable. They will reveal themselves. And when they do, you must remember this. Do not scream. Do not retaliate. Do not justify. Michael says, stand still. Let me speak for you. Let the light do what your words never could. This is not just about them. This is about freeing you from the weight of pretending, the burden of defending, the prison of silence. Beloved, your silence was never weakness. It was sacred. But now it is time to roar in light. The chains are loosening. The veil is tearing. The shift is beginning. Heaven whispers, you will no longer be bound to those who only loved your silence. If your soul is trembling, don't run from it. This is not fear. This is freedom knocking. And freedom. My child, where's the voice of Archangel Michael? My beloved one. Have you ever asked yourself, why do I still feel unsafe around the person who once prayed with me? Why does your heart race not with joy, but with warning when they enter the room? Why do you smile, but feel your soul shrinking in their presence? Archangel Michael whispers, that is not paranoia. That is preservation. Listen closely. Child of divine promise, the person you trusted most has become the echo of your deepest wound. They no longer carry your name with care. They carry it with strategy. Heaven has seen what you chose to ignore. The moments they shifted their eyes, the times they asked questions that didn't feel right, the laughter that didn't quite match the tone. This is your confirmation. Michael says, there is a difference between silence and suppression. You haven't been peaceful. You've been polite, and politeness has cost you clarity. Let me tell you the truth. You've been too kind to admit. They know your weakness. They know what you've confessed behind trembling lips. They know the part of your story you begged God to bury. And now, they are aligning themselves with darkness. It didn't happen all at once. They didn't wake up wicked. But the seed of envy, it took root. And now, it's blossomed into manipulation dressed as love. Heaven whispers, you cannot heal in the same space. You're being hunted. You cannot recover beside the one who twisted your wound into a story they tell others. Type I feel it now if your spirit is stirring, because this message is more than words. It's a mirror. You are not crazy. You are not dramatic. You are not imagining betrayal. You are sensing what heaven has already confirmed. Michael says, sometimes the devil disguises himself not as a stranger, but as the one who once wiped your tears. This is why your dreams have been so intense lately. This is why old conversations keep resurfacing in your memory. This is why your peace is felt disturbed without cause. That it is not a mistake. That is not random. That is divine. Preparation. Heaven is placing your spirit in alignment, so you do not miss the moment the mask falls. They will slip. It might be a single word. Tone too sharp. An apology that doesn't match the offense. A compliment that lands hollow. When it happens, you must not doubt yourself. You must not protect. Their intentions at the expense of your own safety. Michael says, this next encounter will not be for reconciliation. It will be for revelation. Let them show you who they've become. And when they do, child, do not cry, do not beg, do not chase, type. I release them if you feel your hands loosening from false bonds, because you are never meant to stay. Or heaven has already evacuated. Now pause. Do you remember the first moment your heart doubted them? The exact second something inside whispered, that wasn't right. You pushed it down. You made excuses. You said, they didn't mean it. You said, maybe I'm just being too sensitive. But heaven says, no, beloved. That moment was me speaking. You were not wrong. You were discerning. You were being warned, and now the warning returns, not to haunt you, but to free you. Michael declares, the person who once cried with you is now conspiring with the one who cursed you. Yes, the betrayal goes deeper than you imagined, deeper than you feared, but not deeper than heaven's protection. Someone has sat at your table and brought crumbs of your past to enemies who never deserved your name in their mouths. They call it concern. They call it just conversation. But the spirit behind it is decay, and heaven has had enough. Heaven whispers, your silence has been misunderstood as ignorance, but I am awakening the lion within you. Now do not roar in anger. Roar in truth. Roar in peace. Stand still and watch the unraveling. The next few days will bring confirmations. You will overhear your own story, told by a mouth that should never have known it. You will receive a message not meant for your eyes. You will feel the atmosphere shift when your name is mentioned. This is not punishment. This is permission to leave. Michael says, when you walk away this time, don't take guilt with you. Take glory. Comment, I walk away clean. If your spirit is ready to be lifted, let us be clear now. You have not failed by loving them. You have not sinned by trusting. You have not been foolish by giving grace, but it would be foolish now to stay. They are no longer aligned with your future. They are tethered to your past, and God is not calling you backward. Heaven whispers, there are new voices prepared to speak life over you. There are new circles where your name is safe. There are new hands ready to hold what they tried to weaponize. This betrayal is not your ending. It is your elevation. Michael says, the enemy is panicking because you are awakening. And the moment you fully see, everything will shift. Your laughter will return. Your peace will stand taller. Your eyes will stop scanning for danger in familiar places. This is your emotional exodus. One more thing. Do not try to explain your decision to those who never respected your silence. When the separation begins, some will say you've changed. Let them. Some will say you're being cold. Let them. Some will say you turned your back. Let them. Michael says, you are not turning your back. You are turning toward heaven. And what's ahead is drenched in divine clarity. Type, I choose clarity. If you refuse to stay in confusion, heaven whispers, the person who held your secret no longer holds your story. I am taking it back. I am rewriting it in glory. Stay. Alert. The signs are not coming. They are already here. The chills, the sudden knowing, the broken patterns. This is the storm before the stillness. You will not lose your mind. You will not collapse in sorrow. You will rise surrounded by divine protection and sealed with truth. Michael says, the person who used your weakness will now witness your strength. Let it happen. Let heaven finish what it started. And when the mask falls, do not gloat. Do not fight. Do not engage. Smile. Because you saw it coming. My child, there is something you must understand now. Not everyone who stands beside you is with you. And not everyone who smiled when you shared your heart carried it with honor. Archangel Michael speaks again today, not in whispers, but in thunder. He says, The person who sat beside you during your sorrow now uses your sorrow to write their own script. That moment you cried in front of them, that confession you made in vulnerability, that truth you only dared to whisper in darkness, they kept it not for protection, but for power. You see, beloved, some people don't leave. They stay long enough to memorize your fears. They stay long enough to track your patterns. They stay long enough to feel familiar, so when the day of betrayal comes, it doesn't feel like war, God. It feels like disappointment in a familiar voice. Heaven whispers, this was not just betrayal. It was an ambush of the spirit. Michael says, they used the access you gave freely. They wrapped your honesty in rumors, and when they smiled at you, they had already rehearsed your downfall in private. This is not meant to crush you. This is meant to wake you from the spell of false peace. Wake you from the comfort of counterfeit closeness. Wake you from conversations that sounded like care, but smelled like control. I am awake now. If your heart is beating louder with every word, you are not overreacting. You are not losing your mind. You are witnessing the spiritual smoke of a fire heaven saw long ago. Michael says, somewhere in your circle is a voice practicing your destruction in the name of just talking. Let that sit. Let that echo. Because the time for silence has passed, not your silence. There's heaven is preparing to unmask the one who thought your secret would stay buried. Now listen carefully. There is a reason your memories are replaying in fragments. There is a reason you feel a sudden urge to isolate. There is a reason the room feels crowded even when you're alone. Because the energy has changed, not around you. Within you, you are not broken. You are being awakened to a spiritual battle hidden in smiles and small talk. Heaven whispers. The one you defended, the one you trusted, the one you covered has become the mouth of your accusation. They didn't have to lie. They simply edited the truth. They told parts of your story that were never theirs to tell. And now, the damage walks silently through rooms you've never entered. But Michael stands, and when he draws his sword, truth does not whisper, it strikes. This season, heaven is not asking you to fight. Heaven is asking you to stand still. Michael says, I will go where you cannot. I will hear what you are never meant to hear. And I will speak what no one thought would be spoken. There will be a moment soon, one you don't expect. A conversation will find you. A name will slip. Word will echo. And you will know. You will feel it in your bones. The war was never outside. It was next to you all along. Type, I am ready for truth. If you feel your discernment sharpening. Now pause. Have you noticed? They avoid your eyes when you're calm. They over-explain when you ask nothing. They change the subject when joy enters the room. Because your peace disturbs their plan. Because your light burns through their cover. Because your destiny terrifies what they've built in shadows. Michael says, be still, child. The silence of heaven does not mean absence. It means preparation. Do not confuse delay with denial. Do not mistake divine timing for divine ignorance. Heaven has let this unfold for a reason. Because sometimes a snake must show its full length before it can be cut. Heaven whispers, you are not late in noticing. You are on time in trusting. But now I am resetting the clocks. No more wasted years. No more cycles of confusion. No more sharing your soul with those who only want to dissect it. Your truth is returning. Your peace is reclaiming its space. Your spirit is being sealed. And the ones who once moved freely in your inner circle will find the gates closed by angels. Type, close the gates. If you are done giving access to saboteurs. Because this time, when you walk away, door won't reopen. Not out of bitterness. Not out of revenge. But because heaven is placing a lock that only discernment can undo. Michael says, they only stayed because you were soft. But I'm sharpening your spirit now. You will no longer soften to manipulation. Let this be your shift. Let this be your deliverance. The one who smiled in public, but sharpened words in private will now be exposed, not by your hands, but by heaven's. Justice. And when it happens, don't speak, don't respond, don't post. Just rise. Heaven whispers again. This exposure is not humiliation, it is vindication. Your tears were not in vain. Your forgiveness was not wasted. Your kindness was not foolishness. They will see it, not your weakness, your strength, and they will realize the one they betrayed was protected all along. Michael says, you will stand in the ashes of their plans and not smell like smoke. Now, beloved, be still. The winds are shifting. The whispers are turning into shouts, and your name is about to be spoken differently. Not with pity, not with accusation, but with honor. Type, I receive divine honor, if your spirit feels the fire rising, because what was meant to be your silence will become your song. What was meant to shame you will now crown you. What was twisted behind your back will now become a testimony before your face. Heaven is not done. Michael is still moving. And the next thing revealed will confirm everything you've ever felt, but never dared to say aloud. Stay ready. Alert, because your vindication begins with the next breath. My beloved child, there is a moment in every soul's journey when pain becomes too sacred to explain. A moment when you no longer seek to be understood, only to be restored. And that moment is now. Michael says, the pain they caused was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to awaken the part of you that no longer needs approval to feel whole. Heaven is not blind to the weight you've carried, the silent heaviness, the nights you stayed awake, not from fear, but from discernment unspoken. You were never imagining it. You were discerning the shift before it happened. There is a silence that surrounds betrayal. It's not loud. It doesn't shout like anger. It whispers like doubt. It settles like dust on everything you once believed to be safe. You breathed that silence for far too long. You told yourself, they love me. They wouldn't. They're just tired. They didn't mean it. I'm overthinking. Maybe it's me. But heaven now declares, no, child, it was never just you. It was the truth pressing against your spirit, asking to be seen. And today heaven sees with you. Michael whispers, you are not called to defend lies wrapped in politeness. Their tone was sweet, but their intentions were sour. Their concern felt wound. But their presence drained your light. You stayed quiet. You kept peace. But that peace came at the price of your intuition. And heaven is restoring what you silenced in the name of loyalty. Type, I take my discernment back. If your soul is remembering its voice, because you once heard clearly, but their manipulation made you doubt it, their calmness made you question the storm you felt inside, but your storm was real. And their calm was calculated. Michael says, they needed you to stay soft so they could remain hidden. But no more. The curtain has been lifted. And you, my child, will no longer explain away the chill in your spine. Heaven whispers, there will be signs in the next few days that confirm everything your soul already knows. You will notice it in a forgotten message. In a conversation, overheard. In a look that lingers too long. Do not brush it off. Do not dismiss it. This is not paranoia. It is prophecy. And prophecy is unfolding now. Michael says, they counted on your silence. But they forgot one thing. Your silence was never yours. It was mine. And I am done being silent. Let that sink in. Your kindness was divine. Your patience was honorable. Heaven never asked you to be loyal to your own destruction. The person you trusted made a quiet agreement with darkness. It wasn't verbal. It wasn't written. But it was spiritual. They chose self over truth. They chose power over purity. And in doing so, They stepped out from the covering they once stood under beside you. And now, heaven draws a line. Comment. Draw the line. Lord, if you feel the shift in your spirit, because this is no longer about them. This is about what is no longer allowed in your life. No more sitting at tables where your presence is tolerated, but your absence is celebrated. No more conversations where you feel the energy shift with every vulnerable word you share. No more shared spaces with those who secretly rejoice in your delay. Michael says, the exposure is not to shame them. It's to save you. Let me speak this clearly now, child. You are not losing them. Heaven is removing them. There's a difference. You would have kept them. You would have forgiven again. You would have let them in once more. But heaven stepped in, because what they were planning next, you wouldn't have survived. Heaven whispers. They knew you were chosen, but they hoped you'd never believe it. So they kept you humble with reminders of your past. So they kept you small with passive correction. So they'd praised you in public and questioned you in private. But now, your spirit has stood up. And the throne of heaven has noticed. Type, I believe I am chosen. If your tears have ever soaked your pillow in silence, because those tears were not wasted, they were seen and they were sacred. Michael says, every tear you cried has watered the ground beneath your feet, and now it blooms in vindication. The day is coming very soon when the one who used your truth as leverage will look at you and not recognize your strength, because the version of you they tried to control no longer exists. You are being remade in the fire of revelation. Heaven whispers. The people who only celebrated your silence will grow quiet when your truth starts to speak. Let them. You do not owe explanations. You do not owe access. You do not owe comfort to those who thrived on your confusion. Your new season does not require old obligations. This is a spiritual shifting. Michael says, you are being moved not away from people, but toward purpose. And purpose requires pruning. Comment, prune me. Lord, if you are ready to release what no longer belongs, because you cannot carry both peace and poison. You cannot protect what heaven is cutting. You cannot fix what heaven is exposing. Your only task now? Stay soft in heart, firm in spirit, and silent and unnecessary. Battles. Heaven will do the speaking. Heaven will handle the justice. Heaven will be your witness. Michael says, the person who studied your pain will now study your glow. And what a glow it will be. You will walk in places where your name was once dirtied, and the dust will not cling. You will speak in rooms where your voice was once doubted, and the silence will lean to listen. You will smile in the presence of those who never imagined you'd rise, and your peace will be louder than their confusion. Heaven whispers, this is not just protection. This is positioning. The pain made you pay attention. Now the positioning will make others do the same. Type, position me. Lord, if you believe your steps are being ordered, because they are, and they're leading you to a table that was prepared in secret, while betrayal unfolded in the open, they will watch, they will wonder, but they will not enter. Because you, child, have been sealed. Your destiny cannot be touched. Your name cannot be stolen. And your truth cannot be twisted anymore. My beloved child, there comes a moment when the shaking doesn't terrify you anymore. It clarifies you. You've felt it, haven't you? The trembling around you wasn't destruction. It was revelation. What looked like collapse was really exposure. The storm isn't coming to break you. It's moving through you to break everything that tried to hold you in. A version of yourself you outgrew. Archangel Michael says this is not your ending, it's your awakening. You are not crumbling. The illusions are. The false attachments, the masked intentions, the borrowed loyalty, they're the ones unraveling now. Let it all fall. Heaven whispers they didn't leave you. I removed them because your discernment stopped making excuses. They weren't pushed away. They were pulled out. What they carried in secret could not coexist with the glory I'm placing on your life. Michael says they feared the sound of your truth. That's why they tried to soften your voice with praise dipped in control. But your silence wasn't surrender. It was strategy. Now your volume is returning, and with it comes clarity. Type, I am not broken. I am becoming. If your soul feels the stir beneath your feet, that trembling isn't danger, it's birthing. You are being pushed into a higher realm. The discomfort, the distance, the denial, it was divine labor. That's why the doors closed. That's why the calls stopped. That's why the room felt colder. Not because you were abandoned, but because heaven was consecrating your atmosphere. Not everyone is meant to breathe in the elevation God is preparing for you. Michael says you'll soon realize they never misunderstood who you were. They recognized it too well. That's why they shifted. Because your authenticity threatened their performance. Because your discernment unnerved their disguise. Because your light unsettled the shadows they called home. So they whispered, misrepresented, and smiled with clenched motives. But heaven heard every murmur. The scrolls are now being opened. Comment, open the book, Lord, if you sense your story being turned in heaven's hands. Vindication won't arrive through vengeance. It will arrive through divine reversal. The mouths that questioned you will have to acknowledge you. Michael says the more they gossiped, the stronger heaven sealed your name. They thought they were burying you, but they were covering a seed. Now it rises not in spite of them, but to the very soil they pressed you into. Let this bring you peace. Heaven whispers, you no longer need to correct the record. I am rewriting it myself. You've spoken enough. You've waited long enough. You've wept quietly long enough. Now I'm turning those tears into ink. A new chapter is beginning, and the first word is restoration. Michael says the curtain has been lifted, not for applause, but for purpose. This is why you were overlooked. This is why the silence stretched. This is why the exit hurt. Because your purpose was too big to fit into rooms built for your old self. Type, heaven fights for me, if your spirit is done explaining your discernment. You were never forgotten. You were being formed. And now the revealing begins. My beloved child, heaven is no longer whispering. It is declaring, the silence you carried, the stillness you stood in was never wasted. Michael says, the time of watching is over. The time of rising has begun. What was once done in secret is now being reversed in glory. What they used to shame, you will now be used to showcase. Heaven did not forget. Not the tears you cried when no one was listening. Not the strength it took to stay silent when your name was misused. Not the nights you prayed for understanding while others planned your undoing. Michael says, their strategy has collapsed. Their whispers have lost power. Their access has been revoked. Let that settle in your spirit. You are no longer required to explain what heaven has already revealed. You are no longer tied to voices that dressed envy and affection. You are no longer accessible to those who studied your wounds instead of covering them. Heaven whispers, they tried to carry your secret like a sword, but I have broken their grip. This is not just closure. This is completion. You are not the same. The one who remained, soft in betrayal, now walks armored in truth. The one who begged for clarity now embodies it. The one who waited in silence now speaks in light. Type, I am crowned in stillness. If your soul knows this was the moment. Heaven had been preparing you for all along. You were not delayed, you were preserved. You were not denied, you were protected. Michael says, the ones who watched for your collapse will now witness your commission. Your presence will speak louder than their version of your story ever could. Your name will rise not to boast, but to fulfill what was already written. Heaven whispers, this is not revenge. This is recognition. Let them wonder. Let them whisper again. But this time, you will not flinch, because this time, you know who walks with you. You are not hidden anymore. You are revealed. You are not broken anymore. You are built. You are not silenced anymore. You are sealed. Michael says, your voice is rising, not as a cry, but as a call, and the world will hear it.